Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be planting up this planter with a few things that I think are going to do best together in a container. Now, anytime I want to plant anything in a container, I have to take a few things into consideration. Number one, whether or not these plants are going to be compatible. For instance, do they all like the same amount of sun? Do they all like the same amount of water? Do they like to even be planted together? These are all things that I really need to consider when I'm going to be planting something in a planter. Also, another thing I want to consider is, do I want to have a lot of maintenance to do, a lot of deadheading to do? I particularly like to have plants in planters that I don't have to fuss over too much. I could just give them a little water in the morning, or a little bit more water depending on how hot the day is, and they deadhead themselves. They are very disease resistant, and I don't have to worry about pest control. So if you want to know what I'm planting up and why I'm planting them together, keep watching. My name is Lena and this is Life on Green Acres. So when planting up a planter, I like to really keep certain things in mind. So in terms of the look, I want a little bit of height, I want a little bit of dimension, and I want a little bit of eye-catching candy below. They call this a filler, a thriller, a spiller, whatever. I just say I want a really high plant, such as the sun patience here. This is a white sun patience, and what I like about this plant is that it's sun tolerant. It does even better in the shade as long as it's watered well and it's not in completely July, August, 95-degree weather sun all day. It does very well. So I like this plant because it can get up to 30 inches high. That's huge. 18 to 30 inches high, completely mature. And then it mounds and it gets really wide. So it can get up to 12 to 26 inches wide. So this is a great plant. I love this plant. The other thing is this plant particularly does very well in the landscape for me. And I used a ton of it last year and it was really a gorgeous show. And I'm going to do the same this year. The best part is they're pest resistant too, and they're disease resistant where I am. So that's a really nice addition. The other plant I'm going to be using is more of a filler, and this is the Supertunia Bordeaux. And I love Supertunias because they're mounding. It's a hybrid petunia, so it's much more aggressive in how it mounds and spreads. The plant is a really great hard worker in your landscape. I particularly am going to be using this in my planter because in my landscape, Supertunias are a total magnet for slugs, and I really don't want to attract any slugs this year. Last year I had them in my landscape and I spent so much money trying to do the pest control that needed to be done with the slugs that I decided never again. I'm just going to keep them in planters. That does not mean they're not great for landscapes. They might just do better in yours rather than mine. Anyway, the two things that the Supertunias and the sun patience have in common is that they both do well in the sun. They don't need deadheading. They take the same amount of water and they do very well in planters. And that's important. So that's this. To give a little bit of height, that's going to be not as high as the sun patience, but a little bit of play on the height. I'm going to be using geraniums. And again, this plant likes full sun. It doesn't really need to be deadheaded, and it does very well with a little bit of water once the soil's dry. So far, all three of these plants need full sun, and they need water when the soil's dry, and they don't need much maintenance, which has already checked all the things on my list that I usually look for when planting up a container. The next plant that is the first time I'm going to be using is the Diamond Frost Euphorbia. And the reason why I chose this plant is it does very well in landscapes as well as in containers. It's a very ethereal looking plant. I was looking for something that was going to kind of give a cloud of, I don't know, white sparkle, if you want to call it, almost. And that's what this is going to do. It's going to provide this little bit of movement and eye candy for the eye as the eye plays with the height and the colors of the planter. This is going to really fill in those spaces where the height doesn't reach but not be overwhelming. And I like this because it's heat tolerant, it's drought tolerant, it's no deadheading needed, and it already matches all the other plants I'm going to be putting in together, which again, it's an important concept to understand. If you buy a bunch of plants that don't make sense together and you put them in a container, you're going to kill your plants, and therein you waste your money. So, and then you can't enjoy them. The next thing I'm going to use for my spiller is Vinca Vine. This also is a great plant to utilize in any container. It really gives that elegant classic look to a container, kind of like that English garden feel. So I'm excited to use it. And the best part is, again, it only needs watering when the planter is dry. So the same watering needs as everything else I have here. It is a full sun plant and it doesn't require any maintenance at all. I don't have to deadhead it or anything. In fact, it doesn't even say on the planter or on the pot that it needs no deadheading, that it's drought tolerant. That's how easy this plant is. You just plop it in your planter after soil is added, and that's it. So I'm excited about this one. In the meantime, I'm going to be adding a little bit of plant tone to the Miracle-Gro potting mix that I'm using. And despite the fact that the Miracle-Gro potting mix already has fertilizer in it, the plant tone is just going to kind of give it a little bit of extra oomph, since it's a slow release fertilizer, so that as the heat starts to as the weather starts to kind of warm up, it'll be a little bit more heat activated, and as the Miracle-Gro fertilizer starts to deplete in its nutrients, the plant tone will kind of take over. So it's a way to use your items more efficiently. So let's get started. This one's got to be moved back a little bit. That's better. Now it looks good. I forgot the plant tone, as usual, but it's all right. By forgetting the plant tone, it doesn't mean that they won't get any fertilizer. Probably mid-season, I'll give them a liquid fertilizer to ensure that they do get the nutrients they need and can really thrive in the planter. But that does happen to me often. Okay guys, there you have it. I've got the Diamond Frost Euphorbia, the Supertunia Bordeaux. Let me see if I could show you what that looks like. It's really pretty. Get that to focus in a little bit. I've got the Vinca Vine, the white sun patience, and the white geraniums. And I think this is going to be a really nice combination. So how many plants were those? It was 3 geraniums, 1 sun patience, a Vinca Vine. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 if my math has it correctly. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's going to look great. And all I have to do now is water them. Once they're watered, they'll really do well, and hopefully they are going to thrive. Well, there you have it, guys. It's all done, and I'm happy with how it turned out. For more information, tips, and tricks, check out lifeongreenacres.com. Thank you again for watching. I'm Lena, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.